So, a Muslim follower on Twitter asked me the following question. Hey Abdullah, genuine question. If you don't believe in a life after death, aren't you going to eventually feel a bit resentful in how you spend so much time and resources devoted to debunking Islam? It's like you could be doing more constructive things like paper mache, origami, gaming, everyday things people enjoy. So I thought it'd be easier for me to respond right here in a video. I'm Abdullah Samir, your friendly ex-Muslim. Let's get into it. So first of all, I do enjoy this. I find it rewarding, satisfying to talk to people that are going through the same struggles that I went through and to help them. I find it, satisfying, and I love when I connect with other like-minded people, like the recent interview I did with Abu Imran, people like Hassan Radwan, people that I meet on this journey who are going through the same thing or went through the same thing and lost their faith and gained something else in the process. Being able to help those people, it's satisfying. Making paper mache origami, I'm sure some people love doing that and there's nothing wrong with that. But I like this. I like coming on camera. I like talking to people. I like engaging with others. I like being challenged on my views. And at the end of the day, it's inherently satisfying and rewarding to me. So maybe I'm being selfish by doing this. Maybe I just have the right, characteristics and personality traits that makes me good at this. Things like not caring what people say, people that make fun of me, attack me, abuse me, whatever. The fact that I'm in a non-Muslim country where I'm safe for the most part, I'm safe for the most part. And, I have two main goals, Mustafa. I have two main goals. My first goal is obviously to show people that Islam is false and that they can leave it. My other goal has always been to humanize Muslims, to show that even if Islam is bad, that doesn't necessarily mean Muslims are bad, right? We got to separate the two ideas. And very early on, this became one of my goals when I realized that ex-Muslims are sometimes used to dehumanize Muslims, and ex-Muslims sometimes dehumanize Muslims, and sometimes even through well-meaning efforts to speak about the religion and the dogma and why that's bad, that somehow converts into Muslims being bad and, a lot of, negative thinking towards people that maybe they don't have any choice in being Muslim. They're just born in the religion and never thought about it, they never knew better, right? So those two things are so important to me. And just like gaming, my mindless entertainment is watching Netflix. Gaming, same sort of thing. It's mindless, being a zombie and just like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But after a certain point, it gets a little bit tiring. Like, there's only so much Netflix you can watch. There's only so much games you can play. Eventually, you feel like, there's a certain sense of satisfaction you get in building something that you cannot get with doing any other sort of activity. When you're building a platform of your own, when you're engaging on the international or public stage with others in the battle of ideas, speaking for what you believe is right. And I know many Muslims would say the same thing. If you ask them, well, why do you guys always talk about Islam? Some of them, maybe they're doing it for the ajr or for the blessings from God. And some of them genuinely want to make the world a better place, right? Like Ridwan, my friend Apostate Prophet said, you sometimes we are called the enemies of Allah.
Apostate Prophet and David Wood. They are the enemy. Don't go to the enemy.
But if you think about it, we are just doing the same thing. When we can acknowledge that you Muslims, many of you want the world to be a better place. That's why you're doing what you're doing. You want to protect people from Allah's wrath. You want more people to become Muslim. You want more people to be saved from the hellfire. So you want good for people. I also want good for people. Can you acknowledge that? And many Muslims have a hard time acknowledging that I'm not like, me and my allies, we are not like shayateen, right? There to corrupt the world, right? And to take it down with us.
What I care about is the attitude, how Hamza describes me and describes people who disagree with Islam or who criticize Islam or who attack and insult and ridicule Islam. Hamza, why is it that people like me are by default described as the enemies of Islam? At a different point, as far as I remember, it was said that I am not serious, I am not honest, I am evil and this and that. But why exactly do you come to that conclusion? Why am I evil? Why am I bad? Why am I dishonest? terrorist, somebody that you shouldn't associate with and shouldn't talk to? Who says I have bad intentions? Who says I don't have good intentions? Who says I am not doing what I'm doing, even if I'm doing it in the most offensive way for a good purpose, for good intentions, no matter if you see them as good intentions or not? I will be very honest here and ask Hamza a question. Hamza, if you ask me, I will sincerely say, I believe that you may, or you do, sincerely have good intentions and a good will. I think that when you are setting up an arena and you are trying to spread Islam and you are defending your Islamic faith and you are yelling at me and being rude, I am ready to say this and to admit this. I am convinced that when you do that, you do it with a good intention. You think you are doing that for a good purpose. I don't believe for a second that you want to be deliberately dishonest and evil. Nevertheless, I believe that your conclusions are entirely wrong, that your worldview is all twisted, and that the illusions which you found within Islam blind you. Can you say the same thing about me? Can you admit that I may have good intentions, or that I do indeed have good intentions? Can you admit that you believe I am doing what I think is right, even if you find it wrong, even if you find it detestable? If I sincerely believe that questioning my former belief, speaking out for people who are voiceless and to thank me every day, critically analyzing a religion which I think has harmed me, harmed many others that I love, harmed my family, and harms many people in the world, is the right thing to do, because it will make the world a better place. It will make me happier, and it will make others happier. It will make future generations happier. If that is my intention, can you really say that I am intentionally engaging in evil? That I'm not interested in the truth? I think you are interested in the truth. I just think you are blind and uninformed. And that's okay. You can think about me that I'm interested in the truth and that I'm completely misguided and blind.
But we actually want goodness for the world, just like many of you do, right? It's just that the way that we think of what we think of as good is different. So yeah, I guess I do spend time doing things that I enjoy, and I spend some time doing this as well. And let me tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than getting emails from people saying that they connected with what I'm saying, that it helped them, that their life has got better, that they appreciate it, that, now they're able to get their life back and live for themselves rather than some ideology. My kids, I want them to be free as well. I want them to grow up in a world where they can choose whether they want to be Muslim or not be Muslim. I want them to have that freedom. I don't want them to live in a world that's, controlled by Islam and Islamism, a world that is dominated by Islamic law, a world that takes away freedom of religion, freedom of choice, freedom of expression, a world where, if you look at the Taliban, I know many people will say, well, the Taliban is not my version of Islam. Is that not the end game? Like what the Taliban is doing, taking away, musicians' rights, journalists' rights. Women have to cover from head to toe. Women are not allowed to play cricket, even though I don't know what in Islam says you can't play cricket. They see it that way. This is the type of world, and many, like I was discussing with my new friend Abu Imran, we are like-minded people and we connected over this. Many Muslims don't even realize how shitty life would be under Islamic law.
It's there then in Egypt that I start to realize the whole concept of hijrah. For me, I start to have my doubts, and I start to see it's kind of like a fallacy the way it is, because Egypt, like all the Muslim majority countries, they have the same vices as non-Muslim countries, right? You see drugs, you see prostitution, you see all of these different things that are going on. It's no different. I even remember one time someone had mentioned something about a serial killer, and I was like, what, a serial killer in Egypt? And it's just it blew me away, because you're taught it's better to go to these countries than to be in America, right? Because the idea you can't practice your Islam, of course, is totally not true. You probably could practice your Islam better in America than you can in some Muslim countries.
Right? Many Muslims would actually agree with me that Islamic law is terrible, or they would agree that they would reinterpret Islamic law to not mean what Muhammad was doing back then. They would say it's not applicable anymore. So this is why I do what I do, because one, I want to live in a better world. Two, for what I did in the past, bringing people to Islam, I want to do the opposite now. I want to do better. I want people to know that I was wrong before, right? And is it possible I'm wrong again? Sure, it's possible. But the 21-year-old me and the 38-year-old me are two very different people. The chances of being wrong at 21 and the chances of being wrong at 38 are very different. I have matured immensely in my life. And I'm at a point now where a lot of my views are quite stable. Since I left Islam in my very first video until now, I haven't changed a lot of my positions. Like when I say that it's possible there's an entity or force or power that is behind the creation of the universe, I still hold that to be true. Although I don't think it's true. I don't think there's any entity or force. I just think it's just the universe, or rather just the cosmos. Just our existence and the existence of whatever is outside the universe. I think that's just it, right? It's possible there's some sort of creator. It's possible that we are in some sort of simulation. All of these things are possible. But most likely, I think we're just in a dead, godless world. Not dead, godless world. So, this is my response to you without, any sort of preparation, rather like this. I'm just talking off the top of my head to tell you, like, truly why I do what I do. And maybe you'll understand that, you know what, I do actually enjoy this. I get fulfillment and satisfaction in this more than probably anything else I do. I wish I could do this full time, and I know, and I was thinking, why don't I do this full time? It does appear to be the case that I will not be able to do this full time at this point in time in 2021. It's just not possible for me to survive on the little bit of income that I get from YouTube and Patreon. So I'm going to continue working a full-time job, and I enjoy that as well. I do enjoy coding and solving, technical issues and designing systems, and that part of me is still there. I love that stuff, right? So I'm not going to lose that. I'm going to continue doing that, and that, at least that way I know for sure my family's needs are met, and I will continue building this so that one day all of my energy will go not towards, half of it helping businesses to make more money and to solve their technical needs, but all of my energy will go into this activism, into making, and this will be my livelihood. I will be able to spend 24 hours of my day, or basically 12 hours, whatever waking hours I have, towards working on getting this message out, a message of, secularism, democracy, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, and rights for all, no matter what your race, gender, sexuality, or religion or lack of religion is, right? No matter who you are, I will be there to fight for that, right? Because that's what I believe in. I'm a humanist, right? And so to fight for humanism and secularism, this is what I do. And I would love to put all my energy in. And I hope one day that, these things will build enough that I can actually do this full time, that I can engage. Because right now, being a part-time thing, it's difficult for me to really engage, to set up debates with Muslims, to really sit down and write a book, to really, take the content to the next level, right? Create series on with well-researched, topics and, evidence for what I'm saying based on what the Quran and Sunnah is, or, whatever it is. I just can't do that part-time, right? And I'm trying to build up a team to hire people to help me with editing, with posting clips, with all of these things, research. And maybe I will eventually get to the point where I can do this full-time. But I care enough about this. This is my passion project. This is what I love. And I when I started doing it, I found that people resonated with my content. I mean, even if nobody did, I would still do it. Because at the end of the day, I like talking about this stuff. Even when I was Muslim, people would people would get annoyed because I want to talk about religion. And you meet people like that, people like Marjan van Putten, that, the academics, they don't make a load of money, but they love that stuff that they're doing, right? They love researching and digging and writing, and they're nerds. And that's what I am. I'm a nerd, and I'm a nerd on Islam. I'm a nerd on, science, and I'm a nerd on computers, and all of these things. They are a part of who I am. And by the way, doing this has made me a much more well-rounded individual. It's honed my communication skills. In fact, when I went for a job interview recently, they were highly impressed at how I communicated. They were like blown away that, this guy, he speaks well. And I didn't tell them, well, I have a YouTube channel. I prefer to keep my activism and my career, separated. But that's the thing. This actually helps me too in my life. It actually, in a bigger way, it doesn't help me. in a bigger way, it takes away from, my success in the secular world, because of course the risks of doing this, the risks of being cancelled. And I have been cancelled, so to speak. People called my former employer and told them a lot of bad things and tried to get me fired, right? And so this is probably worse for my life than better for my life, right? In terms of what I get out of it. Even I was thinking to myself recently, in terms of the money, I could probably make even more money if I stopped doing this. One, the risk of being cancelled would go to zero. Two, I could probably get, up to $200,000 or more a year working full-time towards, being a software architect, a solutions architect, right? A technical director, like those type of roles. That's how much the salary goes up to. But I don't do that because I don't want to be that person that all he does is spend time making money. Right? At the end of the day, the work I do 9 to 5 is just about making money. Right? It's just to pay my bills. It's to keep my family fed, despite the fact that I enjoy it. But what does it do for the world? Right? And what do I want to do for the world? I want to do something for the world. I want to leave a legacy behind. Right? I want to be one of those people that change the world. All of us, many people want to change the world, but I actually have an opportunity to do that. Right? Through whatever, the universe decided, I went from a smiley, highly liberal Muslim to a quite, I don't want to say extremist, but a very religious Muslim, right? Where Islam was everything for me. And then I left it. This sequence of events has put me in a very unique position, a position that I take very seriously, and it gives me a big and I have a huge responsibility to say what I have to say and to show people that, hey, this one and only life that we have, take it, treasure it, do what you want to do with it, because that's the only life we have. This religion that you were brought up in or that you converted to, it's a lie. It's a lie, and it's robbing you of your one and only life that you have. And you will die living according to someone else what they wanted for you rather than what you wanted for yourself. So don't be that person that lives for an imaginary hereafter. Be the person that you want to be, right? And of course, be a good person, right? Live for others. Do things in a way that leaves the world in a better place than how you got it, for the future generation, for the next set of people that are going to come. So that's my answer. That's my answer for you. And thank you to my patrons for your continued support, and to the YouTube channel members. I appreciate all that you've done for me, and this financial part of it is definitely helpful, especially now that I'm in between jobs. Having this side income is helpful. It allows me to make sure that I can continue doing this thing, and at some point I hope to do it full time. I think I would be overjoyed when I get to that point. I'm not there yet. I can't do it, but at one point I will. So if you'd like to join me and support me, check below in the description for details on how to become a financial supporter of the channel and of my work. And thanks for watching. I'm your friendly ex-Muslim Abdullah Samir, signing out.